You might be tired. You've grown plants for this entire summer and you're seeing brown, crispy plants that are not succeeding or thriving in any way in this hot, hot climate. I'm here for you. We're going to talk about why your plants are not thriving. And that's because a lot of the standard gardening advice is not really meant for the climate that we live in. I'm in Zone 9B, California, Central Valley. It is hot, hot, hot all the time. We want to make sure that the plants that we are growing really are meant to thrive in the environment. So, what if I told you I had a 5-point plan? 5 plants that could really rescue actually your summer. 5 plants that can really, really help you out. Stay tuned. I'm going to give you an example. A tomato, which we all know and love. I've been growing it for years. Love, love, love a tomato. And we'll compare it to a tomatillo. Now, a tomato in our climate, it's going to basically shut down when it hits 90 to 95 degrees. It's going to stop production. So the flowers that are there, if you have fruit on the vine, of course, it's going to go ahead and ripen. But the flowers that have already been produced, it's not going to create new production after it gets to be 90 or 95 degrees. The tomatillo, for example, will continue to produce. The sun scald that you're seeing on your tomato, you're not going to see on your tomatillo. The difference between the two is really a tomatillo is meant to live in our hot climate. A tomato can function with some hand holding in our climate, but it's not really meant to live in our climate. So I'm going to show you the crops that I really recommend for growing in our climate that really, really thrive. Here we go. Now, the first plant that I want to talk about is an unusual one, but it's an ancient one. It's a beautiful, resilient amaranth. I am actually growing this plant for landscaping this year. It is so beautiful. I have gotten so many compliments from our neighbors about it. They'll say to me, "Where did you get that weird plant? It's so pretty." And it really is. It's very dramatic, has this beautiful dripping. I chose the Love Lies Bleeding variety this year, and it just has this gorgeous, beautiful cascade on it. So pretty and so unusual. And so you can use this plant. It's going to reseed very easily, by the way, because as it's sitting there, it's drying up. It's going to drop those seeds. So you'll see it next year, whether you plant it or not. However, if you want a bonus, as it's starting to dry out, take those seeds after it's dried, put them in a bag, shake it up, leave it for about a week, shake it up, and you can save those seeds for next year. Amaranth is an incredible crop. The leaves are edible, the seeds are edible, or you can use them to reseed next year. You can add those seeds to breads. Beautiful, beautiful plant and loves the heat. It's actually a plant that was originally grown in tropical heat locations, so it's a perfect, perfect plant for our region. So embrace the amaranth. Now, this plant that's sitting right behind me is the tomatillo. It is my number one superstar in my garden right now. It will just take the heat and keep on ticking. It's ironic because everyone wants to grow tomatoes, right? Tomato, tomato, tomato. It's all we hear about. Everyone wants to grow them. And I admit, I have 11 tomatoes growing in my garden right now, but none of them are performing as well or as productive and love the heat as much as the tomatillo. Tomatillo have been cultivated and grown in current day Central America, all through this area of California and current day Texas for centuries. And it is such an incredible crop meant to live in the hot, hot sun. So why aren't we growing it? I don't get it. Everybody wants to grow a tomato, but nobody talks about the tomatillo. What do you have against salsa verde? I mean, come on. So my number one pick in this category, heat-loving plants that adore, worship, and relish in the sun. She's delicious. I probably shouldn't call her a she because it ends in an O. He loves heat. It's delicious, and a salsa verde is in fact the base of a salsa verde. Green enchilada sauce, tomatillo. First thing to talk about with the tomatillo is how beautiful it is. The way it branches out. It's so seemingly so delicate, so lovely, and yet always so pretty in a backyard. I love the way it kind of plays and dances and just kind of sprawls out in such a beautiful way. So this is one tomatillo. It's a green verde tomatillo. It had a buddy. One thing I want to tell you about a tomatillo, it does require a friend. Tomatillo cross pollinates, so it has to have a friend to live with. So I'm going to share with you this tomatillo I had a little bit of an adventure with. I grew 2 of them from seed in the house. Started them in March. And unfortunately, as I was hardening them off, I had a little incident. My dog was acting up. I was bringing the seedlings into the house when I heard my dog digging behind me. So I turned around to say, hey, stop it. And at the same time, I was walking into the door and smash goes the tomatillo. So I only had one tomatillo. I went and bought a second one to pair with that one. And then I had it in a pot. It was doing great. And then one day it just died. I might have overwatered it. I'm not sure. But just to show you, we all can make mistakes as growers. Anyway, just sudden death. Just so. However, I have 3 together in this bed here. I'm going to show you. Here they are. Here's one. This is a kind of a yellow rose tomatillo. It's Dr. I don't want to mispronounce his name, but it's Dr. Witch, I believe, a native man who grew this special kind of tomatillo. And he was in the Oklahoma area. I love, love, love this tomatillo. So these are a little bit younger. They're just starting to flower and develop right now. As you can see, here's his friend. And then, oops, sorry, that's a tomato. Jeez Louise. Here we go. Here's his friend playing here amongst the tomato and this basil. And then the third one is in here. But as you can see, a tomatillo requires staking just in the same way a tomato does. I've been using this wood branch that I planted in the ground to act as a stake in this bed. This all started developing before the death of my poor one in the pot. I may get another one for it so I can continue this. This has just been such a beautiful tomatillo. This is ready to pick. So you can tell a tomatillo is ready to pick when it bursts through the skins. They become papery. And look at that gorgeous color. Oh, she's beautiful. Here's another one. A little further along, but still really nice. So that is your tomatillo. Right behind me here is my other favorite. It's corn. Corn is meant to be in a hot, hot climate. It was born for it. So I think a lot of people in our area, we don't grow it in our backyards. We think of it as a huge crop that farmers will grow. And that's actually true. However, it grows really, really well in a backyard. The difference, and I think the reason a lot of us don't find success with growing corn in a backyard is because we mimic what we see in a field. We'll grow it in one single or 2 rows. The way to successfully plant corn in a backyard environment is to plant it in a block. You want to plant like a 4x4 or 4x6 block. So when you plant that, that will help with the pollination. Essentially what you're looking for is once these tassels come up, that wind pollination, because grass is a wind pollinated crop, you're going to let the wind, and here the wind is blowing through this grass here. So when this wind comes through, it's going to help all those tassels that come up at the top pollinate all of the corn that is underneath. So The key to growing successful backyard corn is to plant in a thick block. My next heat-loving favorite for the Central Valley, California, Texas, hot climates is bee balm. Here she is in my garden showing out. It is by far the best pollinator that I've ever grown in my yard. All those flowers the bees love. You can see a bee on it right now. And if you leave it in this spot, it's just going to be a beautiful perennial that will come back year after year. So plant it one time and you'll see it over and over again. Thing about bee balm, it is so pretty. You can literally use those flowers in a bouquet, which I have done many times. Absolutely gorgeous, beautiful bouquets, beautiful flowers, an incredible pollinator, takes the heat like a champ and never once complains, never wilts, never looks bad, never looks sad. It's in the mint family, but it doesn't spread like a mint. I keep it in this little container here so that it stays a little bit contained, but it's not going to spread all over your garden like a mint. So when I say it's in the mint family, don't freak out about that. However, you can use those leaves for teas. It makes a really nice lemony, almost peppery kind of a tea. So I use it for that. It's a triple purpose, beautiful, heat loving herb slash flower that you should definitely be growing. Last and certainly not least is Nasturtium. I am calling this my secret weapon in the garden. I think a lot of us think of here's a beautiful nasturtium flower. I've always thought of nasturtium until recently. It's kind of an old-fashioned flower that your grandma plants in her front yard, you know? But it's really a secret weapon in the vegetable garden. I started planting it when I started reading about how it really emits a peppery smell that a lot of squash bugs dislike. Now, the squash bug is my absolute nemesis. It has absolutely ruined my winter squash on many occasions. Melon, zucchini, they crawl all over and they don't care. They are ruthless. I cannot stand them. Nasturtium all around my squash beds. I plant them in and around my zucchini. Here's the thing about and the actual pro and con about growing nasturtium in a hot climate. Does it really like our heat? No, but it will thrive in spring and winter. It's sort of like a perennial. Leave it in the ground, and when it'll just suddenly die off. It decides, I don't like this heat, it dies off. But you will notice it pops up in another location. Just randomly, just pops up, especially if you've got a shady location, it'll pop up underneath another plant. And it's doing that same work for you. Protecting, it can be an aphid trap crop. It can be your squash bug deterrent. Incredible, incredible plant. So even though it's a little fussy and doesn't really love our heat, I find it to be very powerful and resilient, and it comes right back. As soon as it dies, comes roaring back in another spot that you don't expect it to. So don't sleep on nasturtium. Now, listen, our goal here is to make life easier for you, not more difficult. So choose crops that actually will thrive in the area in which you live. I live in a hot climate. I'm going to stop trying to push against it and just work with it. Choose plants that actually will help you. Now, of course, that doesn't mean you have to abandon that are more difficult. Just because I just done the tomato, I have 10 tomatoes growing in my garden right now. Doesn't matter. I'm going to keep growing a tomato even if I have to babysit it a bit. But I also incorporate the tomatillo because first, it's a really tasty crop and it's beautiful and incredible, and I love it down forever. So I'm going to add tomatillo to the repertoire. So I talked about corn, I talked about tomatillo, I talked about bee balm, I talked about nasturtium. Those are 5 incredible crops you'll be able to pick throughout the summer Use those leaves on the nasturtium, by the way. They're edible. So is the flower. You can use these as medicinal plants. You can use them as edibles. You'll be picking them all summer. These are ones that you can reliably count on. And research others. Let me know. What plants are you growing in a hot climate that thrive, thrive, thrive? I want to know about it. If you have a secret weapon, if you're growing any of these in your garden, or if any of these you never miss, put it in the comments. It helps all of us grow together. And if you're a new grower and you're getting a little overwhelmed with what to grow this summer, check the description. I have a hot climate planting guide just for you. Don't forget to subscribe. If you found this information helpful, please subscribe to my channel. I've got more tips, more tricks, more heat intensive information coming just for you. Have a great day. Keep sowing and growing, y'all. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.